Taurus, there is something you need to hear. And though part of you has already felt it in your gut, you've been pushing it aside because admitting it feels uncomfortable, even dangerous. The universe is placing a red alert in your path, and it is about someone in your life who is quietly disturbing the very peace you've worked so hard to build. This isn't about ordinary misunderstandings, casual disagreements, or the occasional clash of personalities. This is deeper. This is about someone whose presence in your space leaves behind a heaviness that clings to the walls, to your spirit, and to your energy long after they have left. You know exactly who I am speaking about, because your body reacts before your mind even names them. The sudden tension in your chest when they arrive, the irritability that lingers after they leave. In the way your sanctuary feels less safe, less nurturing, less yours whenever they cross its threshold. These are not coincidences. Taurus, they are signs. You have been trying to explain these feelings away, telling yourself not to be dramatic, not to cause conflict, not to let your suspicions rule you. You've reminded yourself of your loyalty, of your responsibility, of your commitment to maintaining harmony, but deep down, you can't ignore what your intuition has been whispering for too long. This person is not good for you. The universe has been sending subtle signals to prepare you for this truth. Maybe it has been the arguments that spark from nowhere, the restless sleep that follows their visits, the way your plants droop or your pets grow uneasy. Or maybe it is simply the heaviness in your chest that refuses to lift. These are messages, not accidents. Taurus, your home is more than just a building. It is your refuge, your sacred ground, your personal temple. It is the one place where you should feel most yourself, where your guard can fall, where your spirit can breathe. Allowing someone into that space is more than an act of hospitality. It is an invitation into your energy, into your soul. And not everyone deserves that access. When you allow someone whose energy is toxic, jealous, or manipulative into your home, they don't just sit in your living room, they leave an imprint, a residue that lingers long after they walk out the door. And over time, those imprints accumulate until the place that should restore you begins to drain you instead. This is why the universe is sounding the alarm. It is not trying to make you fearful or suspicious of everyone. It is trying to remind you that discernment is part of self-love. Your generosity is a gift, but when given to the wrong person, it becomes an opening for harm. You have been generous with someone who does not deserve the intimacy of your sacred space, and now it is costing you more than you realize. Taurus, the universe is not warning you to punish you, it is warning you to protect you. And as we move forward into the next part of this message, you will see that this is not only about the danger of allowing toxic energy inside your walls, but about the deeper truth of protecting your sanctuary, understanding the sacredness of your own boundaries, and choosing with courage who is allowed to stand within the space that reflects your soul. Taurus, your home is not just the place where you rest your body at night. It is the sanctuary where your spirit gathers its strength, where your mind slows enough to hear its own truth, where your heart feels safe enough to unclench. It is the soil where your peace grows. And when that soil is disturbed by the wrong presence, nothing can take root the way it should. You may not always notice it immediately, but the shifts are real, the arguments that seem to come out of nowhere, the exhaustion that lingers even after a full night's sleep, the way your body feels restless or uneasy when you should feel calm and centered. These are signals that the harmony of your sacred space has been disrupted. And Taurus, the one responsible, is someone you have been allowing inside. The truth is, every person you welcome into your home leaves behind more than footsteps on the floor. They leave behind energy. Some of it lightens your space and fills it with laughter. warmth, and renewal. Some of it weighs heavy, leaving shadows that linger long after the door closes. You already know which energy you've been letting in, because your intuition has been whispering it. You've noticed the way you feel drained after certain visits, the way silence in your home no longer feels like peace, but like residue. And you've been brushing those signs aside, telling yourself it's just coincidence, or that you're being overly sensitive. But you are not. You are perceiving what is real. Taurus. Protecting your sacred space is not selfish, it is an act of survival, an act of love for yourself and everyone who depends on the strength you carry. Your generosity and loyalty make you want to open your doors freely. But the universe is reminding you that discernment is just as important as kindness. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone should be invited into the temple of your life. Allowing people who bring negativity into your home is not compassion, it is compromise. And it is a compromise that chips away at your stability each time it happens. The universe is asking you now to draw a boundary, a clear one. And to honor it, that may mean saying no to someone you've tolerated for too long, or choosing distance even if others don't understand. It may mean facing conflict, awkward questions, or for guilt. But Taurus, none of that outweighs the importance of your peace. Your home is where you recharge so you can meet the world as your strongest self. If that space is contaminated, everything else in your life feels heavier. As we move to the next part of this message, we will confront what happens when you ignore these signals for too long, and the cost of allowing the wrong people into your sacred space. Because protecting your home is not just about bricks and walls, it is about protecting the very energy that keeps you whole. Taurus, you have always prided yourself on being steady, patient, and forgiving. You give people chances long after others would have walked away. And you convince yourself that by keeping the peace, you are doing the right thing. But there is a hidden cost to this kind of endurance, and it is heavier than you admit. Every time you ignore the unease that rises in your chest when this person enters your space, you pay a price. Every time you explain away the tension, the sudden arguments, the restless nights, or the way your home feels less like a sanctuary and more like a battlefield, you pay a price. And those costs add up until you find yourself drained without even realizing why. The truth is that energy does not lie. You can excuse someone's words. You can overlook their behavior. You can rationalize their intentions. But your body always tells the truth. The headaches that come without reason, the fatigue that clings to you even after rest, the heaviness that settles in your chest, these are not random inconveniences. They are the evidence of what happens when you continue to allow energy that is not meant for you to occupy your sacred space. The longer you ignore these signals, the more they erode your sense of safety and stability. Taurus, ignoring the signs also teaches you something dangerous about yourself, that your comfort is less important than avoiding conflict, that your well-being is less important than someone else's approval. This is not the truth, but it is the message you reinforce each time you silence your intuition. Over time, this habit does not just weaken your home, it weakens your spirit. It convinces you that living half-drained is normal, that heaviness is inevitable, that your sacred space is not worth protecting. And once you accept that, you begin to lose connection with the parts of yourself that know how to thrive. But the universe is not warning you to frighten you, it is warning you to wake you. It is showing you that the cost of ignoring the signs is far greater than the cost of drawing a boundary. The conflict you fear from saying no will last only moments, but the conflict of silencing your soul lasts indefinitely. When you allow toxic energy to remain, you do not just sacrifice your peace. You sacrifice the very foundation of who you are. And Taurus, you were not created to live diminished in your own home. You were not made to endure endlessly without rest. You were made to feel safe, rooted, and whole in the space that reflects your essence, which is why the universe is urging you now to stop ignoring the signs, because they are leading you toward the choice that will restore your strength. And that choice is the courage to set boundaries firm, unapologetic, and necessary. Taurus, the moment always comes when you can no longer pretend that silence is peace. The unease has been growing inside you for too long. And every time this person crosses your threshold, your body tightens, your spirit resists, and your home feels less like a sanctuary and more like a place of intrusion. That is why the universe is calling you now, not to tolerate any longer, not to delay any longer, but to claim the courage to draw the line. And I know, for someone like you, who values loyalty and harmony, setting a boundary feels like breaking something sacred. But the truth is, the only thing you break when you draw that line is the cycle of allowing yourself to be diminished. The courage to set boundaries is not about cruelty. It is about clarity. It is about saying, "This is my home. This is my energy. This is my peace, and it is not for everyone." You are not required to offer endless explanations. You are not required to convince anyone else that your decision is justified. The simple fact that your intuition recoils in their presence is reason enough. Boundaries are not walls that shut the world out. They are doors that you learn to close to those who come only to take, and to open to those who come with respect, love, and reciprocity. Of course, Taurus, you must also prepare for resistance. Toxic people rarely accept boundaries without a fight. They may try to guilt you, shame you, manipulate you, or even gather others to question your decision. They may accuse you of being selfish or dramatic, but those accusations are proof of why the boundary is needed. Someone who truly honors you would never demand access to your sacred space at the expense of your peace. Their reaction will reveal more than their words ever could. And it will confirm what you already know, that your home is not safe when they are inside it. This is where courage matters. It is not about feeling no fear. It is about acting despite the fear. It is about standing firm, even when your voice trembles. About choosing your well-being over someone else's comfort. You will discover that the moment you say no, even if it feels heavy, there is an immediate release inside you, as if your soul has been waiting for you to finally protect it. That relief is the confirmation that you have chosen rightly. Taurus, setting this boundary will not only protect your home, it will begin to restore your strength, your creativity, and your joy. It will prove to yourself that you are capable of prioritizing your own needs, that your peace matters as much as anyone else's approval. And as soon as that line is drawn, you will feel the air in your home shift. You will notice the lightness returning. You will know that you have reclaimed what is rightfully yours. And this leads us to the promise that follows such courage, the renewal that comes when the toxic influence is gone. When the air clears, when your space becomes sacred once again. That is the gift waiting in the final message. Taurus, when you finally gather the courage to close the door and protect your sanctuary, something profound begins to shift, not only in your home, but in your spirit. At first, you may feel the sharp sting of conflict, the echo of guilt, or the discomfort of silence. You may wonder if you were too harsh, if you should have explained more, if you should have given yet another chance. But then, slowly, almost quietly, you begin to notice the difference. The air feels lighter, the tension in your chest loosens, your sleep deepens, even the way you walk through your own home changes. Because you are no longer carrying the invisible weight of someone else's energy. That is the promise of renewal, the moment when you realize that protecting your peace has given you back to yourself. The problems that once erupted without warning begin to fade. The irritability, the exhaustion, the sense of being drained start to lift, replaced by clarity and calm. Your home begins to feel once again like the place where you can breathe, where you can restore yourself, where you can dream. And this shift does not stop at your doorstep. When your sanctuary is aligned, your entire life begins to align. You feel more creative, more confident, more able to make decisions that honor your worth. Opportunities that were blocked start to flow. Relationships that nourish you begin to find their way into your circle. Because when you remove what is toxic, you make space for what is true. Taurus, the universe never asked you to carry the burden of toxic energy. It asked you to learn the lesson of discernment, to discover that loyalty is not measured by how much pain you can tolerate, but by how deeply you are willing to honor your own spirit. The renewal that comes after this decision is not a reward from outside. It is the natural consequence of finally choosing yourself. And once you experience it, you will wonder why you hesitated for so long. This is not the end of a story. It is the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where your home becomes the fortress it was always meant to be, where your peace is non-negotiable, and where your energy is too precious to be wasted on those who do not respect it. The promise of renewal is simple but powerful. You are free to live lighter, stronger, and truer than before. You are free to fill your space only with what lifts you higher. And you are free to trust that the universe, having seen your courage, will meet you with blessings that match the purity of the space you have now created.